Hello and welcome to this tutorial where I will show you how you use the EF Core Sidekick to create an API from an existing database that you already have. We're also going to use Swagger to test it out, and it's actually pretty simple. So if we just go and create a new project, and just a little heads up, you need to have installed the plugin EF Core Sidekick to follow along in this video. You can go and see my other tutorial. There I will show you how you install it. But what we need to do now is to make an ASP.NET Core Web API. We say next, and it really doesn't matter what we call the project. And we will go and use the .NET 8 long-term supported version. And we also want to use controllers down here, so it's okay that that is checked. So let's say create. So the reason we took an ASP.NET Core Web API is because then we already have Swagger installed. And you might want to use such an application to actually create an API, so it makes sense. And when we run the API right now, you can see that we only have this weather forecast. So it's just a basic template we have now. But what you want to go and do is to right click the project here, click on the EF Core Sidekick, and then say new entities from DB. And as you can see, I'm already connected to a database. I'll just show you in just a moment here how the database looks. So I created this test database where we have one table with employee, and you can see here we have 3 values in here right now. But to actually make the connection for the first time, you need to go and say new, and from in here you want to go and connect to your server. If the server name doesn't appear when this one is scanning for servers, then you can just go back to your SQL Server Management Studio, right click up at the name here, the server name, say properties, and go and copy this. And then we go and put it inside as the server name here. Then it will just take a moment, and then you just need to do one thing before you can actually see the tables. It is to trust the server certificate. So now you should be able to see all your databases. And in this case, I want to take the test database and just say OK. So when that's done, we can go and expand to see the tables. And we say the employee table, and we say next. And we don't really have to do anything else here. We just have to go and say finish. So you can see it will go and make this DAL or DAL directory for us, and also the contracts here where we have our entity. So let's just say finish, and then we need to do what it says here. Inside the program.cs, we need to insert this DB context so that it knows what the connection is. So just go and copy, open the program.cs, and let's put it in here. We can then go back here because we also need to take the connection string and put it inside our app settings.json file. So go and copy this, go to the app settings.json, and just paste it in. So that was actually it for the connection. We can just go and close this one now. And then if we go to the contract here, we have our entities, and in this case it was only employees. So you can see it created a class for the employee, and we can just go and right click this class and say EF Core Sidekick, and then we can say that it should create services and APIs. Then we do get all the CRUD functionality for the table, and I actually created a video earlier on this where it said custom, and I found out that the reason it said custom and it could only show a list and a page, and it was simply because it didn't have a primary key inside my table. So it's important that you have a primary key inside your table, because else it cannot identify each row that you have in your table, and it's not able to get a single row, and it's not able to add a new row, and so on. So to get all the CRUD functionality, make sure that you have a primary key. So when you see all these CRUD functionalities, you can just go and say next, and just go and generate all this. So just say finish. So the last thing you have to do before we can go and test it is to go and add again some code to the program.cs. It is first of all this builder services add repository. So go and copy this, go to the program.cs, and just paste it in. And we do also want to do it with the other code here, just like this. So now let's go and test it and see if we can add some rows to the database, and to see if we can get the data also. So it do create all this for us. It's pretty simple with the plugin, because now we can go and get a row from the database. So let's try it out and say 1. and execute, and you can see it did go and take John the manager. We can also go and get a list. So let's just try it out and say execute, and then we will get all inside the database here. We can also go and add a new one. So let's try it out. And when you add a new one, the ID should just be 0 because it will auto increment to where it comes to. And we could just go and say Charles, and he is the cleaner of the company. And we say execute, and it just responded with true. So if we go back and get the list and say execute, we do now have Charles also inside our database. And you can of course go and update and also delete. So as we just tested, a lot of the functionality is working, and it was pretty easy to set up. So I think that was actually it for this video, and I hope you learned something, and let's just go and have a nice day. Bye.